So we're asking the question, is the Joey Badass hype over? And in order to ask that question, we're going to think about some other things, right? Did the labels sabotage his career? Did he need a hit? And that's why the labels are freaking out? Is he trying to get out of his deal? And is Lonely at the Top a cry for help? Is it a message to his fans in order to make it to the next level? So all of those questions we're going to think about and we're going to answer. The first things first is, did the labels really sabotage this situation? As I look through the history, his sales have been slowly creeping down. And also there's a connection to, his label Pro Era, he is, slightly independent, right? Or has the independent leaning.
Yeah.
To his work. So he was in partnership with Cinematic. And if you're not familiar with Cinematic, they also partnered with Big Crit to release a lot of his projects. And so now he's released Lonely at the Top with Columbia Records. And all those albums have slowly done worse and worse in the sales department. And so do you think that the labels sabotage Joey?
Yes, but I also think that two things can be true. I think that, yes, the labels are pretty much kind of sabotaging him by there's a lack of promotion in terms of the things they do for Joey. They haven't necessarily, to me, set him up in regards to, like, good collabs or anything like that.
You think so?
Yeah.
What about this album, though?
I think this album, he's making an attempt, but it feels kind of like some sort of, we are trying to break up, but neither of us have enough money to move out. So we're just trying to work. We got to kind of work it out. You know what I'm saying? None of this feels amicable, but it feels like, well, there's a contract.
Right.
So we got to, honor.
We got to get our lease done.
Yeah. That's what this feels like, I don't know. It didn't ring like there was passion on this album.
So I think the label is trying to sabotage for a couple reasons. Mm-hmm. The first reason is Joey kind of stumbled on this accidental beef. It didn't look accidental. Like, it seemed like he was really trying to antagonize the West Coast. Mm-hmm. But now that he's come out and talked to the Breakfast Club, he wasn't trying to do that on purpose. On top of that, not only was he not trying to do that on purpose, his label didn't capitalize on that moment. They pushed the album back. Mm-hmm. He gave a release date to his fans that the label basically said, "Oh, we're not worried about what you told your fans. We're gonna push you back anyway." And that is one reason why I believe that they're trying to sabotage him. What else are you thinking about that sabotage?
I'm also thinking, if I'm a label, right? And every year you've just sold us less, it's time to get some tax write-offs. It's time to get what I can get. It's time to, you don't sell well, hey, you didn't meet this, and now we get to write this off, or we get to write off the studio time, or this production, or this person, or whatever, and cut our losses in a way that doesn't necessarily seem like we're cutting our losses to the masses, because most people are just going to blame Joey and be like, well, you didn't sell well. Well, a lot of albums will sell better with, marketing or actual promotion. Mm-hmm. When you don't have those things, you're basically putting him at, use what star power you had, maybe use some of your show fame or whatever, and that's just not genuine to how an actual rollout with the label should be.
Yeah, and we've seen what a rollout could be based off of the clips. We noticed that the labels can get behind somebody if they want to. Mm-hmm. And with the clips rollout, it was as if the clips were doing something new. Mm-hmm. That's how behind the times a rollout seems to be to people now.
Yeah.
So the elephant in the room is, did he need a hit, right? So at this point in time, it sounds like he's trying to make a couple hits with Ready to Love, especially on this album, but also with Super Flea. To your point, where when you listen to an album and you hear that this is the single song, this is pretty obvious.
the effort is so low though. It feels like he's trying to make a New York hit. Cause Super Flea sounded so 2001, 2010 fabulous era.
Yes.
And I was listening to it and I was like, okay, that's intentional. And I kind of hear what's going on there. And then we go to Ready to Love and that sounded, typical hitmaker.
So it's weird. It's disjointed because the rest of the album sounds like a 1999 album from Jay-Z.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have one random thing that sounds 2025.
Yeah. Which it was very... This feels like, in terms of like, did Joey try and like sabotage his way out or try and give them what they needed so he can get out? It didn't feel cohesive in terms of like how the album was flowing. It felt so dark and kind of dreary in a way. So you're like sitting in the lyrics, which is what lyricists want you to do, but it felt like very low effort. And he gave accountability to that on Breakfast Club in terms of him without a hit. But at this point, I feel like there's a lot of different ways that he could get one that you are the last of the traditional rappers that is way younger than the traditional rappers.
Yeah. You talked about him trying to get out of his album on Dark Aura. He talks about basically being independent. Mm-hmm. He wants to be independent in order to escape this label trap that he's been in since 2012.
Yeah.
So for 13 years, he's just been like, I'm stuck in declining sales, and I feel like Joey Badass is a good enough marketer and entrepreneur that he could do that himself, right? So here's what he said: "You ain't talking money. You must be talking a different language. Independent mindset. We ain't fucking with those majors. No." Even though, he's signed to Columbia, that fits into the mold that I'm trying to get out of this deal. Mm-hmm. When I set this beef into motion, I did this on purpose in order to give them what they want so they can release my album and I can get out sooner. That's why he's frustrated about getting pushed back.
Oh, no, they messed it all up. They had the beef going on. Then they had the Red Bull thing. And if it had released when it was supposed to release, it would have been with the intentionality and the energy of a great rollout.
People would have still been paying attention.
Yeah.
The masses wouldn't have been paying attention.
No, but the people he needed to be paying attention would have been paying attention.
But you can tell that he's not really focused on the hits. He even said that on the Breakfast Club interview. He is a recluse, so to speak. He's an artist. He's that type of artist. He's an artist. He's a musician, a rapper's rapper.
That's a fact.
And so when you're that type of person, I don't believe that you'll ever fit the label's mold. And so trying to get out seems like the most logical thing to do. But what about Lonely at the Top? Does it fit this overall message that the Joey Badass hype is over?
To me, yeah.
In what ways?
I think it's an album for it's a rappers album. Even
with the 3 to 4 back-to-back smashes, so to speak.
Yeah, because I think that the level of execution on them is still under a Joey thing. It wasn't like he, to me, changed and did an 8-bar setup or did the typical hit stuff that you would do, where you set it up more for a listener than you would actual lyrics. He was still spitting bars from every track, which is what a lyricist does. So I think he kind of missed the boat on kind of how to execute that with those 3.
I think the album is appropriately titled. It has a message of, I am lonely. I am, one of one. I have this potential to be a forerunner and a front runner.
Yeah.
In this music game, and I am the next generation of what my peers were, right? So the Drakes, the Coles, the Kendricks, I was a generation under them, even though I came out around the same time.
Yeah.
I'm in a class of my own. I'm not getting the support that I need from the labels. Even when I do try to make a hit, they don't ring off in the same ways. I'm in this situation where I'm stuck. And even though, even more so, my personality puts me back into that space because I'm a recluse anyway.
Yeah. I think this is like just a culmination of all things bad when you're trying to work the potential of an artist and not knowing how to do that. This also to me leads even further into the label sabotage. You know what kind of artist you got.
Right.
You see the blueprint. Like Nas just gave it to y'all. The Clips gave it to y'all.
Yeah, I don't think that Columbia has an excuse in this situation in saying that, like, we didn't want to put the money behind it.
But I don't think this is going to do... And actually, I don't even know what their expectations are. If you're going from $250,000 to 80,000 to 22,000, is anything over 22,000 a success?
I think the expectation is at least $100K.
Do I see this doing 100K though?
Yeah, 10 years ago, 200K was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I don't feel that energy. I don't feel that energy from the fans. I don't feel that energy from the label. And I don't feel that energy from Joey.
Do you think the Joey Bada hype is over?
Sadly, I think yes, because he's ready to transition to something different.
Ooh.
He's ready for a new run. He wants to get from underneath this label. He wants to ditch the hype that we thought he was going to have.
Yeah.
Which is paired with hits, which is compared to Kendrick, compared to Cole, compared to Drake. And he's going to cement himself as a new artist. So yes, the hype is over. And that's because he wants something different. So there's the answer. The hype is over. Yeah. And Joey Badass is about to transition to something new and incredible. And hopefully our prediction is right. But what is your prediction? What do you think that Joey Badass is getting ready to do? Do you think that the label sabotaged him? Do you believe that his hype is over? We want to know what your comment is down in the comment section. And please do like, comment, and subscribe to No Rhyme or Reason, where we got a new video for every week. We're going to be off for a week and got some shorts coming up for you, some blast for the past, you know what I mean?
But we'll see you guys in the next piece, a 1 and a 2, and peace.